Hey guys, we're gonna make some soy wax candles. A couple of the girls have asked me how to do them, so there's a couple of things we need to do first. First thing you need glass jars for soy wax. So we're gonna use soy wax and soy wicks. I'm using a couple of different style wicks. This one here is a soy wax like thick wick, and this one here is just a normal soy wax one. So when you're looking at your wick sizes, you need to have a look at the circumference and the diameter of your kind of edge of your glass jar. So this one you would need around about 20 to, you could get away with an 18. This one we're using like a really big one because it's a bigger jar, but you could get away with a 30 or a 32 kind of size. So that's the first step. How to actually center your wick. What you need is a little stabilizer, which you feed through your wick, and then you put some sticky glue on it, and then you place it in the center with something like this. I don't know if you can see that well. Otherwise you can use popsicles and you can kind of stick that in. So if you have a look in there, that's the little center wick piece that I was talking about. Those little silver bits come as a separate entity, and you feed your wick through and you just place it in the center. Okay, so that's the first step that you need to do. The second step you need to do is you actually need to know how much wax you need to use. So this is the soy wax, okay, that we're going to be using. You can get it in flakes or you can get it in these little tiny pellets. To know how much wax you need to actually fill this up with water, and you need to take the measurements of how much the water is outside of the weight of your jar. So in the cases of my small and large ones, the large ones hold around about 224 grams of wax, and then my medium ones, they hold around about 173 grams. So that's how much wax I would need for these two. I'm going to try and do 2 big ones and 1 little one. So that's your wax. I'm going to get that set up, and I'll do the video from the wax bit, and then I'll show you how to create the fragrances, which is my favorite part. Just to be a little bit clearer, I'm going to make an extra little jar because often the wax, you have an overfill. So I've measured up the 2 large ones and the 2 medium ones, needing around about 700 grams, but there's always extra wax. So what I'm going to do is create a little one, and I'll show you how to actually wick it. So you kind of grab your wick, you measure it up to the jar roughly, and you cut it to the jar length. You grab your silver piece through here, and one thing I forgot was the adhesive. You can use blue tack too, but really actually it's much better to use the adhesive sticks for the bottom of this. So you just feed it through with this, so it comes through, and then you clamp this so it stays, and I'm just going to go grab the glue, and then you center it. So you center it in the middle of the jar, and you use this to hold it. So you have around about 700 grams of wax. You need a double boiler, so you need something like this to go over. Otherwise you need to have the pan with like a electric stove top. You just have to keep stirring it, but ideally you want something with the double boiler. So we have 700 grams of wax. Ideal temperature to melt it to is 70 degrees. So to texture, it can't be more than 70 degrees. You need one of these, and you have to constantly keep stirring it. Once it's hit 70, you turn off, and you wait till it hits around about 60 or under, and then you can put in your fragrance. Your fragrance is about 10% of the volume of your wax to 15%, so depending on the strength of the scent. So I try and mix up my fragrances, and I do like a base, a top note, and a heart note and a top note. So it needs to be around about 70 mil to 90 mil for it to be quite a fragrance. So you need candle fragrances, and you can get them online. I use NI candle supplies, they're quite good. To make the fragrance today, I'm not quite sure. I'm going to have a play around with them, and I'll come back to what I've created. So I generally try and grab the bottles and try and mix it through. Sometimes you can be really simple and just have your Egyptian amber, which is something like that. But I like to be playful with my fragrances and end up creating really unusual scents. So I'm going to have a little play around with that, and then I'll come back to that process once we're a little bit closer to boiling the wax at 70 degrees. I'm stirring the wax, trying to get to my 60 to 70 degrees. I keep stirring the little pot, but I am trying, you can see, yeah, that's my little pot. I have created a fragrance that I'm quite happy with. So we mixed almond milk. I've done around about 15 to 20 mils of almond milk. And then I've added pineapple. And I've added sliced orange zest. And then I'm going to add a little bit of patchouli at the ends. And that should give it a nice fresh smell. But you can be as creative as you want. That's the whole fun part of making candles. So you ideally have to get it from 50 to 60 degrees down to make your fragrance. And then if you want to add color, because you can make colored soy wax, so I have got pink ones, which I might do for a rose one, I think, to create a little bit of self-love. You can add your pink coloring as well, around a little bit lower, so around about 50 degrees under. You can add it and then you pour it into your glass jar. So just to give you a little bit of an idea, the wax like this, looking at it, we're reaching around about 60 degrees, so we're almost there. You have to really keep stirring to break up all of your wax, otherwise you're going to end up with globs. And then I have my fragrances ready here, so that's all good. And these are the jars, so that's what they look like. You always put plastic underneath, guys, because this shit doesn't pour easily. The other trick I want to say is that take it off the double boiler or the stovetop when you do reach 70, because the temperature will keep climbing. Keep stirring until you get rid of all of the adhesions and lumps, and you can just pop it back onto your stovetop on a cool one just to break that all up. And then we just have to wait a little while till it gets around about that 55, just say, and then we pour in our fragrances, and then you can give that a good stir in, and then you transfer it to your candle jar. So this is the final product. Leave them for about 6 hours. Put the lids back on, and do not burn them for about a week. It needs to set correctly. Okay. You take these out when they're finished, and you trim the wick. But yeah, you'll see that they'll start to set.